pack your bags. I'm a rich man now." Those words still echoed in Mina Jackson's head as she walked into the law office on Southfield Road. The lobby was quiet. Snow clung to her boots. Her hands were stiff inside her gloves, not only from the Detroit cold, but from the last 2 days of her life. She had come because a stranger called and said, "It's urgent. You must come today." Mina almost didn't go. She was divorced now. She had no reason to sit with her ex-husband's family, but the lawyer's voice had sounded serious, so she took the bus anyway. The receptionist nodded her toward a wooden door. Mina pushed it open. Sean Carter was on his knees. For a second, Mina thought she was in the wrong room. Sean never knelt. He didn't kneel when the rent was late. He didn't kneel when Mina begged him to stop burning her paycheck on one new business after another. 2 days ago, he had packed her suitcase and set it by the door, then smirked and said, "Pack your bags. I'm a rich man now, like money erased 5 years." Now his pants were wrinkled at the knees. His face was wet and his voice was small. "Mina, please, don't do this." Mina stood still, her purse strap cut into her palm. Her heart felt like clear, hard glass. She didn't know what Sean meant. She only knew she would not cry here. "Miss Jackson?" a man said gently. "Please, have a seat." The man behind the desk was Attorney Randall Brooks, about 50, with calm eyes. He did not look surprised by Sean. That scared Mina more than the kneeling did. To Mina's right sat Aunt Loretta Auntie Etta Miles in a black church hat. Her mouth was firm, but her eyes were tired. Mina sat down slowly. She placed her purse on her knees and waited. "Thank you for coming, mister," Brooks said, opening a folder. "I represent the estate of Elijah Miles Pop Miles. I need to read a condition from his will with all parties present." Pop Miles. Mina swallowed. She had met the old man only twice in Cleveland. He was quiet and watchful. When she heard he had died last week, she felt sad. Sean had felt excited. She could still see that Sunday in her mind. Sean had stood in their kitchen as if he were a judge, not a husband. He said she was an anchor and that he was finally moving up. He handed her divorce papers and watched her sign with a grin that made her stomach turn. When she carried her bags down the stairs, the spring sun felt strange on her face, like it was shining on someone else's life. She called her best friend Bree Thompson, and her voice cracked only once. Bree opened her door right away, gave her hot tea, and let her cry in silence without asking too many questions. Since then, Mina had moved through work like a ghost, telling herself to stay steady until she understood. Sean lifted his head. "Brooks, tell her why we here. We can fix this." Auntie Etta turned to him. "Be quiet," she said. Her voice stopped him cold. Mr. Brooks began to read. "All my property, including my apartment in downtown Cleveland, the lake house near Lake Erie, and all bank funds and investments, I leave to my grandson, Deshaun Carter." Mina's stomach clenched. She remembered Sean strutting around their small Detroit apartment, talking about cars and condos like they were already his. Mr. Brooks went on. "However, my grandson may claim this inheritance only if he remains in a legal marriage with his current spouse, Mina Jackson, for no less than 1 year after my death." The room went still. Mina blinked. "Married to her? For a year?" She wasn't married to him. She had signed the divorce papers while he laughed. Mr. Brooks turned a page. "If that marriage ends before the 1-year term, or if Deshaun is not married to Mina at the time of my death, then all property transfers in full to Mina Jackson, who has shown true nobility and dignity." Mina's breath stopped. $2 million. Maybe more. The apartment, the lake house, everything. "No," Sean whispered. "That's mine. I'm his grandson." Auntie Etta stood up. "Pop wrote that will 2 years back," she said. "He stayed with y'all in Detroit. He saw you use Mina like a workhorse. He didn't want her left empty-handed." Sean looked like a kid caught stealing. Mr. Brooks tapped a line on his screen. "County records show your divorce was finalized yesterday at 3:12 p.m. The condition was broken. So the estate now belongs to Miss Jackson." Sean crawled closer, grabbing for Mina's hands. "Baby, I didn't know. We can get married again today. It'll change. It'll give you whatever you want." Mina pulled her hands back. She looked at his eyes and saw panic, not love. "You failed the test, Sean," she said quietly. "What test?" he cried. "The one you made when you put my bags by the door," Mina said. "You chose money over me. You chose pride over kindness. That's who you are." Sean shook his head hard. "Mina, please." Mina stood and turned to the lawyer. "What do I need to do to claim it?" Mr. Brooks met her eyes. "We can start the paperwork now." Behind her, Sean whispered her name again, smaller this time. Mina didn't turn around. 2 days ago, she walked down a sunny street with a suitcase and no home. She thought her world had ended. She was wrong. And for everyone listening, pause here and drop a comment. Tell us what city you're tuning in from. Stay with Mina, because this story is not only about an inheritance, it's about what happens when a woman finally sees her own worth. The next part of this story begins a few months earlier, back in Detroit, when winter still ruled the streets, and Mina's life felt like one long hallway with no doors. On a Monday in January 2024, Mina Jackson's alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. The room was dark. Outside their second-floor apartment in southwest Detroit, fresh snow covered the courtyard. Mina slid her legs from under the quilt and winced when her bare feet touched the floor. The heater clicked and sighed, but the air stayed icy. Their building was old, the windows thin, and the radiators never did what they promised. In the bathroom, she turned on the light. The mirror showed a woman who looked older than 32. Her eyes were puffy from too little sleep, and soft shadows lived under them. Fine lines had started to sit around her mouth. Her braids were neat but grown out, and the color at her roots had faded. Not because she didn't care, but because she never had the time or money to care the way she used to. She splashed cold water on her cheeks and pulled on her work clothes, a plain shirt, black pants, and the same winter boots, shed stitched twice already. In the bedroom, Sean Carter was a lump under the blanket. He had gone to bed late, again, watching videos about the next big thing and scribbling plans in a notebook he swore would change their future. "You up early again?" Sean's voice came rough from the pillow. "I have to be at the clinic by 8, Mina said softly. "Go back to sleep." "How am I supposed to sleep with you clanging around?" he muttered, turning to the wall. Mina paused with her coat in her hands. 5 years ago, when they first moved in together, Sean used to wake with her. He'd call her my sunrise girl, make coffee, and kiss her forehead. He'd say, "We're building something, Mina. Me and you." Now most mornings felt like walking past a closed store. She didn't know where the lights went. In the kitchen, she made instant coffee and ate a slice of bread with cheese while standing by the window. She watched a city bus slide through slush and reminded herself to keep moving. Rent was due in 9 days. By 7 a.m., she was outside with her scarf high on her chin. The air bit her face. She walked carefully on slick sidewalks and reached the bus stop. The bus came late, as usual. She used the ride to answer a few emails from her evening clients. Her second job was remote bookkeeping for small neighborhood businesses. The work didn't make her rich, but it kept them afloat. The community health clinic sat in a low brick building near a busy road. Inside, lights were bright, and the floors smelled like disinfectant. Mina took her place behind the front desk. She checked patients in, answered phones, and helped people who were scared, sick, or tired of fighting insurance. She was good at it. Being calm was a skill Shed learned the hard way. The pay was steady, about $2,800 a month. It wasn't much for Detroit, but it was real. It was also almost all they had. Sean said he was working too. For the last 3 years, he had been launching his own empire. First, he ran an online supplement store. He bought fancy labels and expensive ads. Then he tried a consulting agency for young entrepreneurs. Later, it was a computer repair service that never got past 2 clients. Each idea was a new hill he swore he would climb. When one plan failed, he always said, "I'm building a future. You don't understand business. You got to invest. You got to have patience." Mina wanted to believe him. In the beginning, his confidence felt like sunshine. She helped him with spreadsheets and read contracts he didn't understand. She stayed up late with him, passing him tea while he practiced pitches to nobody. She was the wife who clapped first, even when the room was empty. But belief doesn't pay a light bill. Some evenings, while the numbers blurred on her screen, Mina would pause and listen to Sean talking in the next room. His voice rose with big plans, then fell into silence. She told herself he was scared, not cruel. She told herself love meant staying, even when staying hurt. Still, a question tapped her heart. How long can hope last? So Mina took on that second job. Most nights, after a full day at the clinic, she ate something quick, then opened her laptop at the small desk in their bedroom corner. Her bookkeeping gigs brought in another $1,500 or $2,000 a month, depending on how busy things were. Without that money, they wouldn't have survived. By noon that January Monday, the clinic was packed. Phones rang like bees. A little boy cried because he didn't want a shot. An older man argued about a copay. A doctor snapped because his schedule was behind. Mina held it together with one hand on the keyboard and one hand on her patients. She ate a granola bar between calls. Her shoulders ached and her head felt tight, but she still smiled at the next person who walked through the door. When her shift ended at 5 p.m., the sky was already turning purple. She stopped at the grocery store because there was nothing in the fridge besides a jar of mustard and frozen peas. She bought ground beef, potatoes, onions, salad greens, and eggs. She watched the register numbers climb and swallowed her worry. She had enough, barely. At home, her arms were sore from the bags. Sean was on the sofa with his laptop, scrolling fast. On the kitchen table sat crumbs, an empty mug, and a torn cookie wrapper. Dirty dishes leaned in the sink. Mina set her bags down and started washing plates. Hot water steamed her face. "Mina, you could at least breathe first," Sean called without looking up. "If I don't wash them, who will?" she said. "Later then," he muttered. "Ain't like the place gonna fall apart." She wiped the counter, put groceries away, then warmed leftover soup for herself. Sean came in, poured tea from the kettle shed boiled that morning, grabbed an apple, and went back to the sofa. He didn't ask if she'd eaten. He didn't ask about her day. He acted like her work was as normal as air. After she washed her bowl, Mina opened her laptop. A report for a barbershop was due the next evening. While she worked, Sean flipped through slides on his screen. She caught words like investor, platform, and growth. Around 10:30, Mina leaned back and rubbed her eyes. "Sean," she said carefully, "let's do something this Sunday. Just a walk by the riverfront. Or Belle Isle. We haven't gone anywhere together in a long time." He waved a hand, eyes still locked on his screen. "My mind is on business. I ain't got time for strolls. I'm in a crucial phase." She waited for him to look up. He didn't. "Jamal found an investor," Sean went on. "Real money. I gotta prep the pitch deck and the plan. And you talking about walks." Mina nodded. She had heard crucial phase so many times it had lost meaning. Still, a part of her wanted to be the wife who believed. "Okay," she said. She worked until midnight, then turned off the lamp. Sean was asleep on the sofa with his laptop open on his chest. She covered him with a blanket before going to bed. Weeks moved like that. Work, bus, groceries, dishes, laptop, sleep. Mina's boots got worse. The soles peeled more each day. She glued them again because new boots weren't in the budget. She hadn't bought a winter coat in 3 years. She wore the same one from college, stuffing a scarf into the neck to keep the wind out. In early February, Sean asked for $1,000 for equipment. He said it like he was asking for milk. "Sean, we just paid rent," Mina said, "and the light bill is due." "I know," he replied, "but this is the last piece I need. Once I get this, everything gonna pop." Everything always popped in his mouth and sank in their bank account. Mina breathed out slowly. She remembered the man she met at a birthday party, the one who brought her flowers and talked about raising kids in a steady home. She wanted that man back. She wanted their dream back. So she sent the money. After that, Sean got sharper. One night, while Mina changed for bed, he glanced up from his phone. "You should join a gym," he said. "You letting yourself go." Mina froze. Her body felt heavy and tired, not from laziness but from long hours. "I'm exhausted," she said quietly. "I don't have time. I work from 8 in the morning to midnight." "Excuses," he said, scrolling. "Look at Kiara. Nails done, hair done, always tight. And you? You know what I mean." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Mina felt the words land like cold coins on her chest. She got into bed and turned to the wall. Tears burned, but she held them back. She told herself, tomorrow hell remember who we used to be. Tomorrow came and went without that memory. A week later, they were in the kitchen again. Mina fried burger patties and boiled potatoes. Sean sat at the table with his tablet. Real wives create an environment for their husbands to succeed, he said. Terrence Vaughn's wife don't even work. She stays home, cooks, cleans, and he handles business in peace. Terrence got a real firm that makes real money. Mina flipped a patty and kept her voice even. What are we supposed to live on if I don't work? Sean's eyes flashed. That's why nothing works for me. I gotta think about bills, about you being tired, about you being miserable. I can't focus. If you were bringing in real money, Mina said, turning off the stove, I could cut back. He slapped the table. If you wasn't counting every dime, I could think big. How am supposed to build a kingdom when you acting like we don't have enough? Mina stared at him. She wanted to say, we don't have enough. She wanted to list the bills she paid, the nights she worked while he watched videos, but she was too tired to fight. She moved the patties to a plate and set it down. Sean took a bite and frowned. Too much salt. Mina tasted hers. It was fine. He wasn't tasting food, he was tasting his own frustration. Spring crept in slowly. Snow melted into dirty piles at street corners. Mina kept working 2 jobs. Sean kept chasing big talk. Some nights, he didn't come home, saying he was at Jamal's place planning late. Mina didn't ask questions. She was afraid of the answers. By April, she had learned to carry her hope like something fragile in a pocket. She still loved Sean, but love now sat next to fear. She still believed in their dream, but belief sat next to doubt. She didn't know yet that all those small cuts were leading her to one clean break. After that dinner in early spring, something changed in the air between Mina and Sean. It was not one big fight. It was a slow leak you don't notice until the room feels cold. Sean began to look at Mina the way people look at a clock when it is running late. Every sigh, every small thing she did seemed to annoy him. On Saturday mornings, Mina used to sleep in a little. Sean would wake up first, make coffee, and say, "Come on, sunrise girl. Let's start the day right." Those mornings felt like they belonged to another couple. Now he slept late, and Mina tiptoed around the apartment so she would not make noise. One Saturday in May, Mina still woke at 7. Her body had learned early hours from years of work. She walked into the kitchen and found Sean at the table, phone close to his face, swiping through videos. An empty cereal bowl and a greasy paper bag sat beside him. He had eaten and left the mess. "Morning," Mina said softly. He didn't answer. Mina opened the window a crack and started sweeping crumbs off the counter. "Why you always cleaning?" Sean finally said, still not looking up. "You act like dirt is chasing you." "It helps me think," Mina said. "Think about what? Bills?" His voice was sharp, like a thrown pebble. Mina felt her shoulders tighten. She swept in silence. Sean got up and drifted back to the couch, leaving her in the kitchen alone with the sound of the broom. That afternoon she went to the laundromat with 2 heavy bags. She folded clothes under buzzing lights and thought about how her life had become a loop. Clinic, bus, groceries, laptop, sleep. She had never asked Sean for fancy things. She asked for small things, kindness, a walk, a little peace. Somehow, even those felt too expensive now. When she came home, he was still in the same spot, laptop open, eyes bright in its glow. "How was the laundry?" he asked, like a coworker after a shift. "Fine," Mina said. Her phone buzzed. It was Bree. "Hey girl," Bree said. "You okay?" Mina tried to sound light. "I'm fine, just busy." Bree didn't push right away. She knew Mina's voice. "You sound tired in your bones. You don't gotta do it alone." "I hear you," Mina whispered, and ended the call before her throat could give her away. The next week at the clinic was chaos. A doctor quit, another called in sick, and patients piled up. Phones rang like alarms. Mina handled it, but by Friday her head buzzed from stress. She got home late, arms aching, feet swollen inside her boots. Sean was in the kitchen eating noodles out of the pot. "You late," he said. The bus was stuck, Mina answered. You always got a reason. He slurped again, not hiding his annoyance. Mina went to the sink. 3 mugs, 2 plates, and a greasy pan waited there. She turned on the water. Sean watched her for a moment. You really need to stop wearing tired on your face, he said. It's not attractive. Mina froze, hands in the suds. I'm tired because I work all day. Everybody works, he said. Not everybody looks like a storm cloud. He walked back to the living room. The words stayed behind like smoke. Mina washed the dishes with shaking fingers. Each clink felt like a tiny crack in her chest. On Sunday, Sean pulled on a hoodie and announced he was going to Jamal's place again. We meeting an investor tonight. This one's serious. Mina tried to smile. You say that every time. His head snapped toward her. See, that right there. You don't believe in me. That's why I can't win. I do believe in you, Mina said fast. I just get scared sometimes. You scared because you think small. He scoffed and left with the door clicking shut behind him. A few days later he came home waving a flyer. Business seminar downtown. Real people, real connections. We gotta level up. That sounds good, Mina said, meaning it. We tired of being stuck, he replied. We. He said it, but Mina knew he meant him. She nodded anyway. She had learned that the truth often turned into a fight. That night, while Mina worked at her desk, she heard Sean on the phone in the hallway. His voice was low but careless. Nah, I ain't broke, he told Jamal. That's Mina's mindset. She always talking numbers. She don't get vision. He laughed. Mina felt her stomach drop. He was talking about her like she was a weight tied to his ankle. I'm changing my whole circle once money hits, he added. I need people who think big. Mina pressed her hands against her ribs as if she could hold her heart in place. When Sean came back into the bedroom, she pretended to be asleep. Her eyes stayed open in the dark. She listened to his breathing and wondered when love had stopped feeling safe. In June, the clinic held a small staff party with cake and paper hats. Mina wore a clean blue dress she hadn't worn in a year. A nurse told her, "You look nice, Mina. You should wear color more." The compliment felt warm and strange, like sunlight on skin you forgot was cold. She got home, and Sean looked at her dress. "Where you been?" "Work party." He rolled his eyes. "So you can dress up for them. But at home you look like you just rolled out of bed." "I didn't change yet," Mina said. "Whatever. A man like me needs a woman who knows how to present herself." "A man like you?" Mina repeated softly. Sean didn't notice the edge in her voice. "Look at Kiara Reed. She stayed done up. Jamal don't have to beg her. She knows his value. Kiara doesn't work 2 jobs," Mina said. "That's your excuse for everything," he snapped. "You act like life is punishment." "I just want peace in our home," Mina replied. "You bring pressure," he said coldly. "You ever think maybe I don't want to come home because of that tired face?" The words landed like a slap. Mina's hands turned cold. Sean went back to his tablet as if nothing happened. Mina walked into the bathroom and locked the door. She sat on the toilet lid and stared at the tiled floor. She saw the girl she used to be, laughing in a park while Sean held her hand and called her his future. She didn't know where that man had gone, or if he had been real. She stared at her own reflection for a long time. The dress was simple, her hair pulled back, her eyes tired but still kind. She remembered the way her mother used to say, "A good heart is worth more than a shiny coat." Mina had tried to live by that, yet here she was, being measured by lashes, nails, and a fake smile. In that quiet bathroom, she felt both small and strangely awake. Outside, Sean's TV laughed, and she breathed slowly. Once, that night, Mina lay awake, counting bills in her head. Rent, lights, groceries, client deadlines, everything marched through her mind in a straight line. Sean acted like she was the reason his dreams were stuck, but she knew who kept the roof over their heads. The next morning, she cleaned up chip bags from the living room. Sean woke around noon, yawned, and asked, "You make breakfast?" "I already ate," Mina said. "I had to finish a report." He frowned. "Always with your little numbers. That's why you look old. You don't know how to let go." For the first time in a long while, Mina saw his words clearly. He wasn't teasing, he was blaming. Later that day, a client called to thank her. "Mina, you keep my shop running. I couldn't do it without you." Mina hung up and felt tears rise, not from sadness, but from relief. Someone saw her. Someone valued her. That evening, Sean dropped a paper on the table. "Gym membership info," he said. "I'm serious about you getting in shape. We moving in better circles soon." Mina scanned the price. It was more than her grocery budget. She set it down. "Sean, we can't afford that." He laughed without humor. "We can't afford it because you don't want to afford it. You always thinking like a broke person. I'm thinking like the person paying the bills," Mina said quietly. His face hardened. "You throwing that in my face again?" "I'm stating a fact." "Facts don't build a dream. Vision does." Mina pushed her chair back. Her legs felt shaky, but her voice stayed steady. "Vision without work is just talk." Sean stared at her like she had betrayed him. "There you go. You don't respect me. You want me trapped in a 9 to 5 like your coworkers." Mina opened her mouth, then closed it. Fighting with him was like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. Nothing stayed. Nothing changed. She walked into the bedroom and leaned against the door. She listened to him pacing outside, muttering, typing hard on his phone. She listened to her own heartbeat. A part of her still loved him. Another part was waking up, slow and brave. By late June, she noticed things she once ignored. Sean never asked about her day. He said, "my future," instead of "our future." He smiled more at his phone than at her. He touched her only when he wanted something. The more she noticed, the less she could pretend. One evening in early July, they ate dinner in silence. Mina had made chicken and rice. Sean chewed and stared at the TV. "This is dry," he said. "It's the same way I always cook it," Mina replied. "Maybe you should learn a new way. You stuck in one lane." Mina set her fork down. "Sean, what do you really want from me?" He blinked, surprised. "What you mean?" "I mean, I work. I pay the bills. I cook. I try to be there for you. But you look at me like I'm your enemy." Sean leaned back. "You want the truth?" Mina nodded once. "The truth is, I'm meant for more than this," he said slowly. "And you, Mina, you don't fit that more." The words hung between them like frost. Mina felt them settle inside her, cold and heavy. She looked at his face and saw no softness there, only a hard wish to be bigger than life. She understood something she had been avoiding. Sean wasn't waiting for a dream. He was waiting for a reason to leave her behind. Mina stood, carried her plate to the sink, and spoke quietly. "Okay." Sean frowned. "Okay, what?" "Okay," Mina said again. "I hear you." He turned back to the TV. He thought he had won because she didn't fight, but Mina wasn't giving up. She was stepping back inside herself, the way you step back from a fire when you realize it can burn you. That night she stared at the ceiling and listened to the city outside. A siren far off, a dog barking, a car starting. Life was moving. Everything was moving. Only her marriage felt stuck, like a tire buried in snow. Her heart didn't break loud. It broke quietly, like a thread snapping in the dark. She didn't know what would happen next. She didn't know about Pop Milas' will or the twist waiting for her. She only knew this. She could not keep shrinking to make someone else feel tall. And for the first time in years, that knowledge felt like a door opening. By May 2025, Detroit had finally started to thaw. The piles of snow on the corners shrank into gray slush, and small green buds opened on the street trees. Mina should have felt lighter, but she moved through each day as if she carried a backpack of rocks. She went to the clinic, smiled at patients, took calls, and came home to a quiet apartment and a husband who felt farther away every week. One Tuesday evening, Mina stepped off the bus with groceries cutting into her wrist. The sky was still bright, but the wind stayed sharp. She climbed the stairs, unlocked their door, and slipped inside. The apartment smelled of old chips and cold pizza. Sean was on the couch in his usual spot, but he wasn't watching videos. He was on the phone. His voice was low, yet it crackled with excitement. Mina paused in the hallway and listened. "Yeah, I got it," Sean said. "Tomorrow at 11? I'll be there. Appreciate you." He ended the call and stared at the wall for a beat. Then he jumped up, rubbing his hands like a man warming them over a fire. Mina set the bags down. "What happened?" Sean turned with a grin that looked too hungry to be kind. "Pop died." Mina felt her chest tighten. "Your granddad, Pop Miles?" "Yeah," he said, letting out a short laugh. "He was 90. It was coming. I'm sorry, Sean." Mina walked closer. "How did it happen? Was he sick?" Sean waved her words away. "He was old, Mina. That ain't the main thing." She blinked. "Then what is?" "The lawyer called," he said, eyes shining. "Pop left a will. I'm in it." "A will?" Mina repeated. "An inheritance," Sean whispered like the word was sweet. "He had that 3-bedroom apartment in downtown Cleveland, and the lake place near Erie. Accounts, stocks, all that. I'm the only grandson. It's mine." He started pacing, faster and faster. "You hear me? This is destiny. The break I've been waiting on. I told you it was coming." Mina watched him, and something inside her went cold. Pop had died, and Sean was smiling like he'd won a prize. "Maybe we should go to the funeral," she said softly. "Help Auntie Etta. Say goodbye." "Auntie Etta will handle that," Sean replied. "She's in Cleveland. She loved Pop. She'll do the church stuff. I gotta handle the business." Mina swallowed the protest in her throat. She didn't want to fight on a day of death. Still, her stomach felt heavy. "The wills read Thursday," Sean said. 11 a.m. I'm going early so I don't miss a thing." He spun toward her like she was part of a plan. "You know what this means, right?" "It means you lost your granddad," Mina answered. He laughed again. "It means we ain't broke no more. I'm moving out of this dump. I'm buying a real car, a condo in a clean building, a real office, trips Europe, maybe. Paris, I always said I'd see Paris. He said I every time." Mina heard it like a drum, not we, I. She turned back to the kitchen to put groceries away. The rice shed planned to cook sat forgotten on the counter. That night Sean called Jamal Reed, then other friends. He told them Pop had died and he was about to be rich. His voice filled the apartment, as if money had already moved in. Mina sat on the bed, staring at her boots. She wanted to be happy for him. She wanted to feel safe. But a quiet dread pressed against her ribs, like thunder far off. When she finally slept, she dreamed of a door closing. In those hours before dawn, Mina's thoughts ran in circles. Part of her tried to believe this was only shock, that grief would show up later, that Sean would soften once the paperwork was finished. Another part remembered every sharp comment, every cold look, every time he said, "my future," instead of "our future." She wondered what money did to a person, and whether it changed hearts or only uncovered them. She pictured Bree's living room, the pull-out couch, and the calm way Bree had held her hand last week. She also pictured Pop's eyes, like he had been writing a warning she couldn't read then. Mina didn't know what Thursday would bring, but she felt the marriage tilting toward a cliff edge. The next 2 days, Sean lived inside a storm of excitement. He woke early, which almost never happened, and stayed glued to his phone. He searched Cleveland real estate prices, watched luxury car videos, and stuck notes on the fridge. 3 bedrooms downtown, easy 600 grand, he muttered. Lake house, another 4, 5. With cash and stocks, we talking 2 mil. Might be, Mina said gently. We don't know yet. We do know, Sean snapped. Pop ain't got nobody else. He loved me. Mina remembered Pop's last visit to Detroit 2 years earlier. The old man had barely spoken. Had watched Sean brag about business dreams, then asked Mina quietly if she was eating enough. The question had felt like a hand on her shoulder. She hadn't known why then. She knew now that Pop saw more than Sean ever did. On Wednesday night, Mina warmed leftovers while Sean paced behind her. Tomorrow's the day, he said. I'm walking in there like a man who knows his worth. Do you want me to come with you? Mina asked. For support? Sean's eyes cut to her like Shed said something rude. For what? This Miles family business. You ain't got nothing to do with it. The words stung, even though Mina expected them. 5 years together, and she was still an outsider in his mouth. Okay, she whispered. Halfway through dinner, Sean studied her the way a shopper studies a rack. You know, Mina, when I get this money, things gotta change, she swallowed. What kind of things? Everything, he said. My circle, my status, my image. His eyes slid over her sweater, her plain jeans, her grown-out braid. A man on my level can't be walking around with a wife who looks like she just clocked out of a factory. Heat rushed to Mina's face. I look like this because we were trying to survive, because I've been working non-stop. Here we go, Sean groaned. Real women know how to look good no matter what. Kiara stays right even when she's tired. She understands presentation. Mina stared at him. Pop was barely gone, and Sean was already weighing her like a problem. He stood up. Don't start crying. I got enough on my mind. I'm not crying, Mina said flatly. Sean smirked and went back to his laptop. After he left the kitchen, Mina walked to the hallway mirror. She looked hard at herself. Yes, she was worn down. But she had carried their home on her back. Her tired eyes still showed up. Her hands paid rent and filled the fridge, and a quiet truth settled in her chest. Sean wasn't waiting for a future with her. He was waiting for a future without struggle, and he believed she was the struggle. That night she lay awake, listening to his keyboard in the next room. Each click sounded like another step away. Thursday morning came too fast. At 7:30, Sean was dressed in his crisp white shirt, pressed slacks, and shining shoes. He fixed his waves in the mirror like a soldier heading to battle. How I look? He asked. Fine. Fine, he grinned. I look like money. Today I find out how much I got. He gulped coffee, checked his watch, and grabbed his jacket, leaving early. Detroit to Cleveland traffic is a joke. I'll be back when I'm back. Be safe, Mina said. He nodded once and left without a kiss. The door shut, and the apartment felt too quiet. Mina went to work with a tight chest. All day she moved on autopilot. At lunch she called Sean. No answer. She texted, "How's it going?" It showed red. Nothing came back. She got home around 7. The apartment was empty. She ate standing up, opened her laptop, and tried to focus on a report. Numbers swam on the screen. At 9:30, the lock clicked. Sean walked in like a king returning from a hunt. His smile wasn't warm. It was sharp. Well? Mina asked. Even better than I thought, he said, dropping his keys into the bowl. What did Pop leave? Sean leaned back. The Cleveland apartment. 3 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet, downtown. The lake house, Chase accounts. Stocks Pop bought forever ago. Lawyer says about $2 million, maybe more, once they appraise. Mina's mind spun. $2 million. She had never held even 2,000 without planning every penny. That's huge. Yeah, Sean said softly, tasting the word. Huge. He stood and went to the window, looking out at the streetlights. Then he turned back and gave Mina that same appraising stare. Pack your bags, he said, almost like a joke. I'm a rich man now. Mina's stomach dropped. He had said it with a grin, like he was testing how it would feel to say it for real. I'm going to Jamal's, Sean added, already reaching for his jacket again. We gotta talk next moves. I'll be late. Don't wait up, Sean Mina started. But he was gone, leaving cold air behind him. Mina sat down slowly and listened to the silence settle. The dread that had started on Tuesday grew roots. Something big had entered their lives, and it wasn't just money. It was a mirror, and it was showing Sean's true face. The next 2 days felt like they were made of thin ice. Everything looked normal, but Mina could hear the cracking under her feet. Sean hardly came home. When he did, it was late, and he moved around the apartment like a visitor who didn't want to stay. He talked on his phone in the hallway, whispering about next steps and big moves. Mina didn't ask questions. She already knew the answers would hurt. On Friday morning, Sean was gone before she woke up. Mina stood at the sink with her coffee and watched the street below. People shoved hands into pockets, heads down against the wind. Detroit in spring still had winter teeth. She felt them too. She went to work, checked in patients, and forced herself to smile. Her body was at the clinic, but her mind was still in their kitchen, stuck on his words, "Pack your bags." That evening, after her shift, Mina rode the bus back with her forehead against the cold window. She tried to plan dinner in her head, like planning dinner could keep her life steady. She stopped by the store, bought milk and bread, and carried them upstairs. Sean wasn't home. She ate quietly at the table and listened to the hum of the fridge. It felt like waiting in a house that was already empty. Saturday was worse. Sean came in around noon wearing a fresh jacket and a new cologne she didn't recognize. He didn't look at her at first. He walked right past the kitchen, opened his laptop, and started typing. "Hey," Mina said. "Hey," he replied, without turning his head. She sat across from him with her hands wrapped around a mug. "How long do you think it'll take to finalize the inheritance?" "A week or two," he said. "Appraisals are just formalities. The main thing is it's mine." Mine. Again, not we. Mina felt her throat tighten, but she stayed calm. She didn't want another fight. She had no energy left to spend on begging for kindness. Sean closed his laptop with a snap and stood up. He walked to the window, looked out for a long time, then turned back to her with a face she didn't know anymore. His eyes were sharp, like he had already decided something. "Mina, we need to talk," he said. Her stomach sank. "About what?" He took a glass from the cabinet, poured water, and drank it in one swallow. Then he said, "I've been thinking, really thinking, and I realized one thing. Me and you? We stuck." Mina blinked. "What do you mean stuck?" "We've been treading water for years," he said. "I don't want to live like that anymore." Her heart began to beat fast. "Sean, I need to move forward," he cut in. "Start a new life. And you're an anchor, Mina. You drag me down." The words hit her like a sudden cold wave. "Drag you down? I've been keeping us up. I didn't say you're a bad person," he said, almost bored. "But you're not what I need now." He paused as if he were choosing shoes at a store. "I want a divorce." Mina stared at him. The kitchen light buzzed. A bus hissed outside. Everything kept moving, except her breath. "A divorce," she repeated softly. "Now, right after you got the inheritance." Sean didn't answer right away. That silence said it all. "You waited," Mina whispered. "You waited until you thought you had money." He shrugged. "People change. I changed. I need something else. Something else. Not someone else." But the words still sliced her. She felt a deep sting, then a hollow quiet, like her heart had moved to a far corner of her body to protect itself. "I packed your stuff," Sean said. Mina stood slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she walked into the hallway. Sure enough, her suitcase stood by the wall, zipped and ready. 2 duffel bags sat beside it. He had folded her life into piles while she was at work. She touched the suitcase handle with the tips of her fingers as if it might burn. "Right now?" she asked, her voice small. "The sooner the better," he said, following her. "No need to drag it out." He handed her a thin folder from the table. "Divorce papers, mutual consent, no property claims, you sign, I file. Clean and quick." Mina opened the folder. The words blurred. She could barely see. The only thing she could hear was the rush of blood in her ears and Sean breathing behind her like a stranger waiting for a bus. "You don't need me anymore," he said, and his voice turned cruel in a way that made Mina's skin prickle. "I'm rich now. You get it? I'm stepping into a new world. You stay right where you belong." Mina lifted her eyes. "Where I belong? In your mediocrity," he said with a cold smile. "In your thrift store life. You a plain Jane, Mina. You'll never be the kind of woman a successful man needs." Each sentence was a hammer. She felt them land, one after another, on years she had held together with tired hands. She thought of the nights she worked past midnight, the money she sent for his equipment, the meals she cooked after standing all day at the clinic. She thought of the way she used to be proud to say "my husband," and how that pride had been turned against her. "And don't start with your sacrifices," Sean went on, waving his hand like her life was a fly. "That was your choice. Nobody forced you to work 2 jobs. You did that, so don't act like I owe you something now." Mina stared at him for a long moment. He expected tears. He expected shouting or begging, but inside her, the pain shifted into something colder and harder. A quiet dignity spread through her chest, the way ice spreads across a lake when the wind is still. She looked down at the papers again. The signature line waited like a cliff edge. She felt her hand steady. "Where do I sign?" she asked. Sean blinked. confused. What? Where do I sign? Mina repeated, calm as a winter morning. He pointed quickly, as if afraid she might change her mind. Right there, and here on the second page. Mina took his pen. She signed her name once, then twice. Her handwriting didn't shake. The moment the ink dried, something snapped cleanly inside her. It wasn't love breaking. Love had been bleeding out for a long time. This was the last thread of hope letting go. Sean took the papers back and smiled in a proud, satisfied way. Good. No drama. I always knew you were smart. He opened the door wide. Well, have a nice life. Good luck finding another sucker to take care of you. Mina lifted her suitcase. It was heavy. She didn't flinch. She picked up the first duffel bag, stepped over the threshold, then came back for the second. Sean leaned on the doorframe, watching like a man watching a show. You know, he said as she grabbed the last bag, I almost feel sorry for you. You decent and all. Just not my level. I'm playing in the big leagues now. Mina paused on the landing. She looked at him. Really looked. She saw a man who was scared of being small, and who would rather burn his home than feel that fear. She felt nothing rise in her chest. No hate, no love, just emptiness, as quiet as a room after music stops. Goodbye, Sean, she said. Then she walked down the stairs without looking back. Outside, the sun was bright. Birds hopped through the wet grass. People carried grocery bags and laughed on corners. Life didn't stop for heartbreak. Mina stood on the sidewalk with her suitcase and 2 bags, homeless in one breath and free in the next. Her hands were shaking now, but her head stayed high. She took out her phone and called Bree. Bree, she said when her friend answered. Her voice cracked like a thin twig. It's me. Can I come over? I left Sean. Bree didn't ask for details. Girl, come now. I'm here. Mina ordered a ride, loaded her bags into the trunk, and sat in the back seat. As the car pulled away, streets she knew slid past the window. She closed her eyes. Only then did her first tears fall, silent and hot. She cried for the 5 years she gave, for the girl who believed in love, and for the woman she was becoming now, even if she didn't know her yet. For the first 3 days at Bree's place, Mina moved like someone walking through thick fog. Bree's small apartment was warm, but Mina barely noticed. She slept on the pull-out couch, woke up before dawn, went to the clinic, came back, ate a few bites, and lay down again. Her body kept following old rules, even though her life had changed overnight. Bree tried to talk to her gently. You want to watch a movie? She asked one evening. Not right now, Mina whispered. Bree nodded and didn't push. She just sat nearby, letting Mina breathe in quiet. That kind of quiet was a gift. Sean never called. He didn't text. 5 years together, and he could erase her in a weekend. On the 4th morning, as Mina was putting on her coat to leave for work, her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. Hello? She said. Miss Amina Jackson? A man asked. Yes, this is she. This is Hightower Law Firm. My name is Attorney Randall Brooks. I represent the estate of the late Elijah Miles. I need to meet with you regarding an inheritance matter. Mina frowned. Inheritance? I'm not family. That's my ex-husband's grandfather. We're divorced. Precisely why I must see you, the lawyer said, firm and urgent. A condition in the will involves you directly. Can you come in today? Mina glanced at the clock. It was 10:58 a.m. I have work. I can come after my shift. 6 o'clock. That will be fine. Our office is at 1200 Southfield Road, Suite 305. Okay, Mina said, still confused. I'll be there. After she hung up, she stood with her coat half on. Bree watched her from the kitchen. Who was that? A lawyer, Mina said. Pop Milas' lawyer. Bree's eyebrows lifted. Why would Pop's lawyer call you? I don't know. Bree reached for her hand. Whatever it is, you ain't alone. Mina nodded, but her stomach stayed tight all day. At the clinic, she checked people in, answered phones, and tried to act normal, but questions kept sliding into her mind. Why did a lawyer want her there? Had Sean lied about something? At lunch, she texted Sean once. A lawyer called me about Pop. Why? She watched the message turn to read. No reply came. By 5:30 her shift ended. She rode the bus through evening traffic and got off near the law office. The lobby smelled of polished wood. She took a breath and walked to suite 305. A receptionist looked up. "Miss Jackson?" "Yes." "Go right in. They're waiting." Mina opened the door and entered a quiet office. Attorney Randall Brooks sat behind a heavy desk, glasses in hand. Near the window sat Aunt Loretta Auntie Etta Miles in a black dress and church hat, and standing against the wall was Sean. Mina stopped. Her throat went dry. Sean looked pale. When he saw her, his shoulders twitched like he wanted to speak, but he didn't. "Miss Jackson," Mr. Brooks said. "Thank you for coming. Please sit." Mina sat across from him with her purse on her lap. She did not look at Sean. "I will explain why we are here," Mr. Brooks said. "Mr. Miles left a will. A clause requires that all parties be present." He opened a folder. "I'm going to read this slowly." He put on his glasses. "All my property, including my apartment in downtown Cleveland, the lake house near Lake Erie, my bank funds, and my stock portfolio, I leave to my grandson, Deshaun Carter." Mina's heart thumped once. She had heard Sean brag about those things as if they already belonged to him. Mr. Brooks continued. "However, my grandson may claim this inheritance only if he remains in a legal marriage with his current spouse, Amina Jackson, for no less than 1 year after my death." Mina blinked. Married to her. 1 year after Pop's death. She was not married to Sean. She had signed the papers 2 days before. The divorce was rushed because Sean paid extra for speed. Mr. Brooks turned a page. If that marriage ends before the 1-year term, or if Deshaun is not married to Amina at my death, then all property transfers in full to Amina Jackson, who has shown true nobility and dignity. Silence fell flat on the room. Mina felt her breath stop. $2 million, maybe more. The apartment, the lake house, all of it. "No," Sean rasped behind her. "That's not right. Pop wouldn't do that." Mr. Brooks looked at him calmly. "The will was drafted 2 years ago, signed, witnessed, and notarized. It is legal, but why?" Sean's voice cracked. "I'm his grandson." Auntie Etta lifted her chin. Her voice was soft but firm. "Because Pop saw you, Sean. He saw how you treated Mina when he visited Detroit. He watched her work 2 jobs while you talked big and did little. He saw enough." Sean's hands clenched. "That ain't, it is," she said. "Pop came to this office after that visit. He said, 'If my boy stays married to Mina after I'm gone, then maybe he loves her and the money should go to him. If he throws her away, she deserves protection.'" Mr. Brooks nodded. "That is correct." Mina swallowed. She had not known Pop well. Still, a warm ache spread in her chest. The old man had watched her suffering in silence and chosen to stand for her. Mr. Brooks tapped his screen. "Mr. Carter, when did you file for divorce?" Sean's shoulders slumped. 2 days ago, expedited, and the decree was entered yesterday at 3:12 p.m. Mr. Brooks replied. "So the condition has been violated. Under the will, all assets transfer to Miss Jackson." Mina's hands went numb. She stared at her fingers on her purse strap. She thought of her cramped Detroit apartment, her rusted radiators, her boots with peeling soles, her midnight spreadsheets. She thought of Sean's laughter at the door. Now the same door was swinging a different way. Sean stepped in front of her so fast he almost tripped. "Mina," he breathed, dropping his voice into a tone she hadn't heard in years. "Listen, it's a mistake. I didn't mean what I said. I was stressed. I didn't know about this condition." Mina raised her eyes to him. He looked frightened, not sorry. "We can fix it," he rushed on. "The divorce was yesterday. We can undo it. We can get married again. Right, Brooks?" Mr. Brooks did not flinch. "You cannot withdraw a finalized divorce. You may remarry, but that would not satisfy the will. The requirement was continuous marriage for 1 full year after Mr. Milas' death. That chain is broken." Sean's face crumpled. He turned back to Mina and dropped to his knees. The sound was dull on the carpet. "Please, Mina." His hands grabbed hers. His palms were slick. "We can start over. I'll change. I swear. I'll take care of you. Please." Mina pulled her hands away slowly. She stepped back. "You failed the test, Sean," she said quietly. He looked up, eyes wild. "What test?" "The one you made when you put my bags by the door," Mina answered. "You said you didn't need me because you were rich. You laughed when I left." "I didn't mean it," he cried. "I was a fool. Forgive me." Mina shook her head. "You weren't a fool for 1 minute, Sean. You were honest." He crawled closer. "I'll give you half the inheritance, 60%, 70, just come back." Mina felt a clear, cold, knowing settle in her chest. Sean was not looking at her as a person. He was looking at a gate he needed to reopen. "I don't want to marry you," she said. His mouth fell open. "Mina, not for all the money in the world." Her voice stayed calm. "You killed what we had when you threw me out." Sean's shoulders shook as if he'd been punched. Auntie Etta walked over and laid a hand on Mina's arm. "Baby, Pop wanted you safe. He wanted you seen." Tears gathered in Mina's eyes. She let them sit there, bright and full. Not tears of begging, tears of relief. "Mr. Brooks cleared his throat gently. "Miss Jackson, if you wish to accept the inheritance, we can begin the process tonight." "I wish," Mina said. Behind her, Sean shot up. "You can't just take everything. I'll sue. I'll contest it. Mr. Brooks' voice was steady. "You may try, but the will is airtight. Medical records confirm Mr. Miles was of sound mind. All formalities are met. The court is unlikely to overturn it." Sean stood there shaking, eyes glazed. The dreams he'd been building on air fell to the floor. "You may go now, Mr. Carter," Mr. Brooks said. "Your presence is no longer required." Sean opened his mouth. No sound came. He stared at Mina, then turned and walked out. The door closed with a small click. It sounded final. Mina let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her legs went soft and she sank into the chair. "Are you all right?" Mr. Brooks asked. Mina nodded slowly. "It's just, I don't understand how this happened. It happened because Pop was a fair man," Auntie Etta said. "Even quiet people can be brave." Mina pressed her lips together, and this time the tears fell. Not many. Just enough to wash off a layer of shame she hadn't known she carried. Outside the window, Detroit's evening lights blinked on. Inside that office, Mina felt the ground shift under her feet. The marriage had ended, yes. But something else was beginning, something that belonged only to her. Mr. Brooks slid a stack of papers toward Mina. "These are the first forms," he said. "Tonight we only start. You will come back for appraisals and bank transfers. I will guide you step by step." Mina nodded, still in a daze. She picked up the pen. "Before you sign," Mr. Brooks added, "know this is not charity. Mr. Miles chose you on purpose. He wanted justice." Mina swallowed. "He barely knew me." "He knew enough," Auntie Etta said. "Pop watched how you worked and how you treated people. He said you had a steady heart." Mina felt her face warm. Being seen felt strange after so many years of feeling small. She signed the first page, then the second. Mr. Brooks explained each line simply. "This says you accept the role of heir. This says you understand the timeline. This one lets me request the appraiser." When they finished, he placed the folder in her hands. "Keep this safe. We'll meet again Monday at 9. "Thank you," Mina whispered. Auntie Etta squeezed her shoulder. "Go on now, baby. Breathe." Mina walked out into the hallway and listened. She half expected Sean to burst back in shouting. No one came. Outside, dusk had turned the streetlights on. Mina took one deep breath, then another. The air felt different, like she had stepped into a world with more room. She pulled out her phone and called Bree. "Bree," she said, voice trembling, "you won't believe what happened. The will says everything goes to me, because Sean divorced me." Bree went quiet for one beat, then shouted, "Girl! That's a twist." "It feels like a dream," Mina said. "Come home," Bree replied. "Well, eat something, breathe, and figure out your next steps." Mina looked up at the dark sky. Her eyes were wet, but her chest felt light. For the first time in years, she wasn't scared of tomorrow. She was scared of nothing at all, only curious about who she might become. And to everyone listening, stay with Mina. This is the moment her life flips. Next, well, See what she does with this second chance, and what Sean does when pride meets consequences. Mina left the law office that evening with a folder tucked under her arm and a strange quiet in her chest. The sky over Detroit was deep blue, and the streetlights made the wet sidewalks shine. She walked to the bus stop slowly, as if her body had forgotten how much space it was allowed to take up. Bree was waiting at home with warm food and a blanket, but even before Mina got there, her phone started buzzing. It was Sean. She watched the screen light up again and again. She did not answer. At first she told herself she needed time, but the truth was simpler. She knew his voice would not bring comfort, it would bring pressure. So she let the calls roll into silence. The next morning he showed up outside the clinic. Mina had just stepped off the bus when she saw him leaning near the entrance. His shirt was wrinkled and his eyes were swollen. He pushed off the wall the moment he spotted her. "Mina, wait," he said, walking fast. She kept moving. "I'm late for work. Please, just listen. I was wrong. I didn't know about the will. If I knew, I never would have filed." Mina paused at the door. People were walking past them. She kept her face calm. "You didn't file because you didn't know," she said. "You filed because you wanted me gone." He flinched. "I wanted a fresh start. I was scared. I messed up." "You didn't just mess up," Mina said quietly. "You chose." Sean stepped closer, lowering his voice. "We can fix it. We can remarry. I'll make it right. I'll give you half, more than half." Mina looked at him. His hands were empty now, only desperation. She felt no joy in seeing him like this. Just distance. "I don't want your half," she said. "And I don't want you." His eyes widened. Mina had always softened first. Not anymore. 5 years, Mina. You gonna throw that away?" "You threw it away," she replied, "the moment you told me to pack my bags." Sean swallowed. "You know I loved you once." "Once is not now," Mina said. He reached for her sleeve. "Please." "I got nothing." Mina slid her arm free. "You're not losing money. You're losing the life you broke." She opened the clinic door and went inside. Her hands shook when she logged in, but her voice stayed steady with the first patient. After that day, Sean chased her like a shadow. He waited by the bus stop, by the corner store, even by the clinic again. When Mina walked past him, he would hurry after her and grab her arm. "Just talk to me," he shouted once on the sidewalk, loud enough for strangers to turn. "We lived together 5 years. You can't do this." Mina pulled her hand free. Her voice was low, but clear. "I'm not doing anything to you, Sean. You did it when you chose money over love." Some people watched. One woman shook her head at Sean. He let Mina go, but his face was twisted with anger. That night the voicemails changed. He called her selfish. He said she was stealing his blood money. Then, 2 minutes later, he cried and begged again. Mina listened once, then deleted them all and blocked his number. Each time she chose silence, her chest felt a little lighter. So he came to Bree's building instead. One evening a week later, Mina and Bree were washing dishes when there was a hard knock. Bree peered through the peephole and sighed. "Hez back," she said. Mina breathed once and opened the door. Sean stood in the hallway holding roses that drooped at the edges. He looked tired in a way Mina had never seen. Not tired from work, but tired from losing. "I've been waiting out here," he said hoarsely. "I can't eat. I can't think. I need you. Please let me come back." "Well, start over." Bree's voice cut in behind Mina. "You should have cared when she was paying your bills." Sean ignored her. "I'll change. I'll give you everything." Mina stared at the flowers. She remembered the first roses he gave her, bright and fresh. These ones smelled like damp paper. "This isn't about money," she said. "You can't buy your way back into my life." He shook his head wildly. "People make mistakes." "Yes," Mina answered. "And people show their true face. You showed yours. I believe what I saw." His shoulders sagged. "So that's it? That's it," Mina said. He stepped forward. "Mina, please," she raised her hand gently. Not angry, just final. "Goodbye, Sean." Then she closed the door. For a moment there was only silence. Then came pounding, then a low sob sliding down the hallway. Bree turned to Mina, her eyes full. "You did right," Bree said. Mina leaned her back against the door. Her chest hurt, but it was a cleaner pain now, like a wound that had finally been washed. She wasn't proud of his fall. She was proud of her own rising. 2 days later, Mina returned to Mr. Brooks' office to sign more papers. Appraisers were already visiting Cleveland. The bank accounts were being transferred. Mr. Brooks explained each step in plain words, and Auntie Etta sat beside Mina like a quiet guard. "Pop wanted this," Auntie Etta said as they walked out. "He wanted you safe." "I'm grateful," Mina replied. "But it still feels unreal." "It'll feel real when you're living on your own terms," Auntie Etta said. That same week, Sean tried to contest the will. Just as Mr. Brooks predicted, the judge threw the case out. The will was solid. Mina felt no thrill about that news. Only a calm ending, like a door closing on a drafty room. On Saturday, Bree drove Mina back to the old apartment to pick up the last small things she had left behind. Mina walked through the rooms quietly. The place looked smaller than she remembered. She took her photo albums, a coffee mug, and the little painting her mother gave her. She did not take anything that belonged to Sean. On the way out, she paused in the hallway and listened. The apartment was empty, but it no longer owned her. In the car ride back, Mina watched the riverfront slide by and felt something new. Not revenge, but peace. She had spent years trying to earn a place in Sean's heart. Now she saw she never had to earn her own. The city lights looked softer, like they were welcoming her home at last tonight. That night, back at Bree's place, Mina stood by the window and watched the city lights blink. She rested her forehead against the glass and let herself feel the truth all the way through. She was no longer waiting for Sean to change. She was no longer shrinking to fit his fear. The life ahead of her was wide, and it was hers. A week later, the last papers were signed. Mina sat in Attorney Brooks' office with a pen in her hand and her name on every page. When she walked out, she was no longer just a tired clinic worker from Detroit. She was the legal owner of Pop Milas' downtown Cleveland apartment, the small lake house near Lake Erie, and every dollar in his accounts and stocks. The appraisers said it all came to about $2.5 million. Mina felt stunned, but steady. In early June 2025, she moved into the Cleveland apartment. Sunlight poured through tall windows. The rooms were quiet and clean, with old, solid furniture and shelves full of Pop's books. Mina walked slowly from room to room. She didn't feel greedy. She felt safe. The first morning there, Mina called the clinic and resigned. Then she ended her bookkeeping jobs. When she hung up, she laughed once, soft and unbelieving. For the first time in years, her hours belonged to her. "What are you going to do now?" Bree asked at lunch. Mina smiled. "Rest first, then live. I want to learn French. I want to travel. I want to paint again." Bree squeezed her hand. "You earned every bit of that." Mina started small. She signed up for a French class and a beginner painting group. She bought boots that didn't leak and a warm winter coat. She went to a salon and let someone braid her hair without rushing. Day by day, her face changed, not because money is magic, but because stress had stopped chewing on her. That summer, Auntie Etta invited her to the lake house. They sat on the porch with iced tea and watched the water shine. "Pop would be glad you're here," Auntie Etta said. "I wish I could thank him," Mina replied. "You can," the old woman said. "Live well. That's the thanks he wanted." Mina held those words close. She opened a small foundation in Pop's name to help women in crisis. The first check she wrote made her cry, and this time the tears felt clean. Sean tried to fight the will, but the judge threw the case out. He called Mina from new numbers, begged, and threatened. She didn't answer. Later she heard he had lost the Detroit apartment and was sleeping on Jamal's couch. Mina felt no joy about it. She only thought, roads end where choices lead. 6 months passed. On a warm September afternoon, Mina visited Bree in Detroit. They stopped at a coffee shop near the riverfront. Mina ordered a cappuccino and sat by the window with a travel book. The bell over the door rang. Sean walked in. He looked thinner, older, and worn out. Beside him was a young woman with blonde hair and sharp eyes, Sky Monroe. She scowled while he counted coins in his hand. You promised a real restaurant, Sky snapped. Do you even have money? Just tight right now, Sean mumbled. Then he saw Mina. He froze. Their eyes met for a second. Sean took one step toward her, but Mina lowered her gaze back to her book. She didn't glare. She didn't smile. She simply returned to her own life. Sean stood there a moment longer, then turned away. Mina finished her coffee, left a generous tip, and walked out into the sunlight. She lifted her face to the sun and felt light inside. She called Bree that night and said, "I'm okay." Bree laughed and answered, "No, girl, you're more than okay. You're finally free, and I'm proud of you, always, Mina." That evening, back in Cleveland, Mina stood on her balcony with the city lights below and a cool lake breeze above. "Thank you, Pop," she whispered. "You saw me when I couldn't see myself." She went inside and slept deeply. No fear, no shame. Tomorrow was hers. Thank you for listening all the way through. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. And if you'd like to support this channel, tap the like button. It helps these true stories reach more good people. On your screen are 2 more life tales I think you'll enjoy. Click one, and I'll meet you there.